So what are we talking about today? We're talking about Appalachian Trail footwear for hiking the trail. Here's a question. Before we even start, here's a question. If you are not going to be a through hiker and you're not planning on hiking from Georgia to, as far as you get Maine, whatever. What if you're just going to be doing some section hiking? Can you choose something different?
No.
Or doesn't it matter?
It does matter.
It does matter.
Yes. Because the whole deal is making a difference whether you're going 100 miles or 2,000 miles. You want to have appropriate footwear. If you don't have appropriate footwear, you're going to have problems with your feet. You have blisters, sores, and open pussy things, and oh my God, it's going to be you'll have a hole in the back of your heel a 1/4 inch across or more, and it'll start to fester out and become infected, and you'll have to get off the trail. That's a bad scenario.
Yeah, it sounds good.
You don't want that to happen because your trip's going to have to end, or you're going to have to be off the trail for a certain period of time. Then all your friends are going to be walking up the trail, and you're going to be sitting in some motel room.
So obviously, good footwear. I suppose obviously it's got to fit good.
It's got to fit good.
But what does that really mean besides not being too loose?
Well, here's the deal.
Tight?
You go to your handy dandy outfitter store and you buy yourself some footwear. But the trouble is, when you buy footwear before you leave to the size of your feet, when you're hiking, your feet expand.
I was going to say that. Yeah.
So therefore, what could happen? You could have a size 8 in normal shoes, in men's shoes. Well, when you're hiking the trail, it could be 1/2 or 9. So you have to buy your shoes anticipating a larger size.
So like when you used to sell footwear, is that one of the things you used to?
We used to tell
some
people.
of the advice you used to give to people. Now, does that mean when they start out, it's a little loose?
No, what you do, you bump it up with the little socks to make sure that it's okay. That works. The trouble that you can run into, if you don't hike very much and you're only out there for like say a week, it's going to not make any difference. If you're out there for a month or 2 months or 6 months, your feet are going to spread way out. And if they spread way out and your shoes are too tight, your toenails are going to fall off. They're going to go all bloody. And they're literally just going to fall right off.
Really? Really?
Yeah, really.
You've encountered this?
We understand this situation. That's what's going to happen to you.
See that, folks? You won't get this from the Common Garden AT
situation
columns. Come on.
That's what's going to happen. So you have to make sure that if everything's so tight and jammed in there, you're going to have all kinds of problems. You have to let your feet breathe out. The toes need to breathe. If they don't breathe, they're going to get all agitated against each other. Your toenails are going to cut into another part of your foot. You got to trim your toenails all the time. Got to make sure they're not growing into the next one, which is a problem. Moleskin works pretty good, except it creates a big old bandage around one of your toes, and therefore that's going to push up against the next one or up against the wall of your shoe. Some people hike with very, very lightweight shoes. It's great, but they get wet all the time. They stay wet. Therefore, that's a serious problem too. You need quite a number of socks. Dry socks are going to make a significant difference. You don't have dry socks, you're going to be taking your semi-wet socks, hanging them up to dry, or you're going to wear them to bed to dry them. It's really funky to take a wet sock and stick it next to your body at night to dry it off. Wake up in the morning, you have semi-wet socks or very wet socks. Your choice is wet, semi-wet. Then you go for the semi-wet. Then you put it back on. And the next day, you do the same thing over and over again. What happens if you're out there for 2 weeks and it's raining straight for 2 weeks? You got that's part of your trip. Then what you've got is really incredibly wet socks, and your feet are all clammy and disgusting. And you got like things growing. You got athlete's foot going on there. And you got to keep your feet as dry as humanly possible. Otherwise, you're going to come down with all kinds of funky bacteria. It's just disgusting.
So what do you think, like Gold Bond, is that good?
Gold Bond works really good. You need something to take that moisture away. Gold Bond's really good. We carry Gold Bond on the trail. You dump it on your feet.
Is there a kind of sock you should use?
Wool socks are great. Wool combination with nylon. Cotton is like the death of everything.
Especially when it gets wet, right?
Yeah, it stays wet.
I knew that. See that? I knew about cotton.
This guy knows some of these trail-oriented things, so he's not half bad. my partner in this experiment here.
You see that bird on the screen?
Yeah.
I think it's looking at me.
Well, maybe that the bird of knowledge.
You think he's looking at me and thinking, "Hey, this guy's."
He knows his stuff.
Or maybe he's looking at you thinking that.
Could be. I mean, there's all kinds of other stuff. You get a good heavy-duty hiking boot. The trouble is, it puts a lot of stress on your knees because you're lifting up that weight all the time. But the benefit of a heavy-duty hiking boot is you can kick things with it, like snow and rocks and trees and mud and stuff. For lightweight shoes, like I have on these lightweight shoes, right? These example. Everybody's hiking with these nowadays. The trouble with these is you can't kick things. You can't slam into stuff. You can't kick snow. You can't kick ice.
What about people?
Well, that's not really proved.
It's not encouraged.
You know, like if you wanna kick a skunk out of the shelter, you don't want to do that with anything. But if you have to, you want to do it with some heavy duty shoes. Well, you're walking along the trail and one of these wild boars comes by. You want to be able to whiz bang that son of a bitch off the trail really quickly with heavy shoes. If you do it with these shoes, he's taking your foot off. The wild boar is going to be taking you and your shoe for a ride.
So, what are some good tips for somebody who's going out to buy some boots? Maybe they're thinking they're going to hit the trail. You know, what should they get?
Well, what you want to do, you want to go into the store with an open mind, and don't sit there and listen to all the things the salesman's going to tell you, because they're all about making that sale for the store. You want to go in there and survey the whole thing first, because otherwise, what's going to happen? Oh, you got to wear these shoes. These are the best ones on the planet. Oh yeah, we use these all the time. Well, when's the last time you were on the trail? Oh, well, you want to go in there, you want to make sure that the salesperson or the saleswoman has actually used the shoes for a long time. Then you actually know what they're talking about. You know, if they've been out hiking for a long time and they're actually using those shoes, you want to ask them, hey, how long do they last? Can you get them resold if you're doing heavy-duty shoes? These, you don't get resold. These, you buy a new one, and they're toast. They're no good after a couple of 2 months or on the trail if it's real wet. Then you buy a new pair if they fit good. And the other thing you can do with these, you can open the laces a little bit if your feet expand, which is good. There's different techniques for designing laces on shoes. You can expand them, you can contract them. So if you're on the trail for a while, your feet expand, you move the laces out, you make them wider, which works out really great. Most shoe people are like, oh, you go to the department store, Dick's, all these places, they don't know what the hell they're talking about when it comes to shoes.
Tim, you really know your boots.
I certainly do. I did this for 13 years. I can tell you everything you want to know about your feet. It's a great thing. That's the tips. You want to make sure that the salesperson knows what they're talking about. You go in there, you get fitted. Not just go in and go, yeah, I'll take size 25 off the wall there.
So any special first aid stuff? You mentioned moleskin.
Yeah, moleskin's good. It's okay. You can get this thing called second skin. It's actually really thin, and then you put it right on the injury on your foot. This moleskin's thick, and it gets in the way. So the second skin stuff goes on, and it's great. You can still see the injury, but it heals a lot faster. A lot of people have been forced off the trail because of feet issues. Don't take care of their feet. Yeah, it'll be all right. Be all right. It's not the way it works. You got to get that whole bit of injury taken care of. When I was on the trail, I had trouble with my feet, and eventually loosened up the laces, took care of the feet, got the second skin. That worked out really well. I saw a girl on the trail. She had a quarter-size injury to back of the heels of her shoes, and you could see the skin. You could see the blistering. It was way inside. I mean, it was really bad. She was hobbling around, and she had to spend a week in a motel in order for that settling to go down, for that to heal up, because the shoes she got were too big. The shoes she actually bought were too big, and they were sliding up and down on the back of her this ankle area. That was bad news. You got to get rid of that. You take that down, make sure that's going to work. Make sure it's going to fit.
What about should they have something else for when they get to the shelter? Like I see some people have those Tivas or something like that.
Oh yeah. Now what you can do is get a very, very lightweight pair of. You can get flip flops, clogs, anything else. Nobody wears any Tivas anymore. They're way too much. They're heavy.
Oh.
Some people hike in them. You can hike in Tivas. I've seen people do that because they weigh quite a bit. You get to the shelter, you might want to get into like a sock that has a hard bottom. They actually sell socks that actually have a hard bottom on there, so like shoes. And that's a convenient thing to get out of. So you take your hiking shoes off, your hiking boots off, then you slide into these things and they're dry. Keep it in a Ziploc bag. That way your feet air out, which is a good thing. Because you don't want to wear these the whole entire time. You're slopping in these all day long. You get to the shelter, you want to take them off, allow your feet to dry, if you have the ability to do that.
Well, there you go. I think that was a pretty informative
bit of information.
Yeah, matter of fact, that was like the most informative one you've ever done.
Well, somebody's got to do these shoe type things because most people don't know. They don't think about their feet. It's the last thing they think about when they're getting ready to pay for it. Now that we've killed the shoe thing could go on for at least a half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour, 2 hours.
Maybe people would like to add some comments or questions in the comments down below the video, and you might respond to them.
Absolutely.
In your benevolent fashion.
Benevolent fashion.
So, yeah, anybody who has questions for Tim,
the Foot Guru,
who actually was on the Appalachian Trail.
I was known as the Foot Guru, so we're more than happy to facilitate that.
Now the viewer must sit back and contemplate the wisdom they have been
so graciously
received,
allowed to receive.
They're probably going to want to post, repost, and share this video. Hit like, subscribe, other things.
And other stuff.
Leave comments, smile.